Hello, friends. My name is Dan Brown. My pronouns are he, him, and I am running a game called 1,000 Quests and 100 Lifetimes, which is a fantasy buddy thing. And I'm joined by my players. We are usually I don't start the recording until after we've done character creation, so we're starting at the very, very beginning here. So we'll do some safety tools, and then we'll do some character creation so we can kind of see the whole thing going. Friends, do you want to do some quick intros before we dive into all that? Jesse, go for it. What do you got?
Sure. I'm Jesse. My pronouns are he, him. That's who I am.
It's nice to play again with you, Jesse.
Hi, I'm Brandon. I love relationship drama, as I think I mentioned, and I'm looking forward to it.
Cool. So I use 3 safety tools when I am playing. The first is open table. You should feel free to get up and walk away anytime that you need to. If you can set our expectations about when and if you are coming back, that would be great, but it is not necessary. Since this game entails 2 players and 1 GM, if any of us are gone, we can't really play. Totally fine. It is what it is. No one should feel badly about that. But it does mean if one of us doesn't show up, we'll be canceling the session. So that's open table. The next safety tool that I use is X card. We'll use the dice roller rollwithme.xyz. It's got X card built in. If anyone says or does anything that makes you even the least bit uncomfortable, that you don't like the direction, let's just say X card or hit the X card button and we will move on. If we can get some explanation as to what was X carded, that would be great, but it's not absolutely necessary. We'll rewind and start the scene again. I've had folks X card all kinds of things. I think the more interesting one was someone X carded an NPC name because it reminded them of an X, and it was totally fine. And then the last safety tool that I use is lines and veils. Our character keeper spreadsheet has a long list of topics, problematic topics. It's got lines. Lines represent topics that we do not want to broach in our story. Veils are topics that we can raise, but we will not go into great detail on. It looks like the players have started adding in their lines and veils. Friends, do you need any more time to check off anything?
I'm good.
Good.
Let me do mine because I have them. I did not know I had them until I started playing with lines and veils. And then I realized. Great. Does anyone want to talk about any of these? Some GMs read these out loud. It doesn't make me very comfortable to do so, so I'm not going to, but we've got a handful of lines, a handful of veils, and we will keep an eye on those. If anyone needs to X card anything because of these or remind us about them, please do so. Those are our safety tools. We are playing on the Gauntlet gaming community. Safety tools are crucial, important, essential to every game that we play. We also abide by Gauntlet's code of conduct. And if you all are ready, we can switch over to character creation. Does that sound okay?
Yep.
All right. I'm going to...
Can I just ask like a tone question, actually? I know we didn't really get into it.
Yeah, totally.
I don't know if you're planning on getting into that later.
Let's do it.
Just as we're sliding into direct character creation, I think it's worth. So, like, these kinds of fantasy stories can, like, especially in terms of the violence, can range from kind of like grimdark and heavy to like light and cartoony.
Right.
And I'm kind of open to either or anything in the middle. But I wanted to just ask like what you folks wanted to do around that, because the range or whether the game has a sort of mechanical setup such that one or the other, like either pole, it doesn't fit well.
That's a good question. In terms of the mechanics, the mechanics are fairly agnostic about that sort of thing. Personally, as a GM, I tend to run more PG or PG-13 just because I don't really know how to go too grimdark, but I'm open to it if that is acceptable to the players.
PG-13 can be pretty
rough.
Can be pretty violent.
And it's also just a question of like how the violence hits. Like I feel like, Avatar is like G-rated, but there's scenes there in that show, that kid show, where like the violence hits hard.
Yeah.
Other scenes where it doesn't, but just in terms of thinking through like where we want some of this stuff to go.
Brent, did you have any strong opinions about it?
Yeah, I like tilting towards the darker end.
Let's lean in that direction and see where it takes us.
Pretty much categorically. As Jazzy knows.
Sounds good.
You remember Urban Shadows.
I remember Urban Shadows. I remember Under Hollow Hills.
Nope, nothing dark in any of that.
Nothing
Nope.
dark in Brendan's character. So
Nope.
I'm down for it. I'm really down for it. I'm excited about it. I wanted to get it out there on the table so that we're all on the same page.
Sounds great. Thank you for bringing it up. All right, so I'm going to share my screen, if that is okay with you all, if I remember how to do that. The way these trust system games work is that there's stats for each player, those the red and the blue here, and then there's kind of stats for the relationship for the couple, as it were, the pair. This game is a little different from some of my previous iterations in that there is the characters have individual conditions that they have. Usually stress is something that is shared by the characters. And there are a couple of other kind of differences here, but I think the main thing that all these games have in common is this trust level. You start at the lowest trust level, and as the game progresses, you will increase the trust between you. That lets you kind of narrate more and more dynamic actions between the two of you, which is really sort of the main. There's a lot of narrative freedom that is granted the more the higher the trust level. The other thing that is distinct about this flavor of the game is that the way character creation works is that we sort of answer a series of questions. One of the hallmarks of this genre is that the characters are very much diametrically opposed. Like there's, we see this in Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser, right? Fafhrd is very big and very strong, and the Grey Mouser is very small and lithe. So those are the kinds of dichotomies we want to try and build here. So my intent with this kind of set of questions is to give us a single question that we're answering, but you have to pick from a set list to try and create these dichotomies. So what we'll do is there's one kind of main question that we answer. What did you study? And then each one of us will pick one of these I think there are 8 different questions here to kind of highlight different aspects of the characters. So we each pick one question, and then you two will each pick an answer for that question. Then there's kind of a what do I call it? A complication in your life. You each ask the other one of these questions below. So you don't have to ask the same question. You can ask different questions here. But this is sort of a complication in your life that you carry around with you and give us some kind of dramatic things to play with. So why don't we start at the top and we'll switch off. So the first question here is, what did you study? Right. The idea is this kind of sets the class for your character. you have to pick different bullets. So for example, if Jesse picks magic, Brandon has to pick one from these other two bullets. So Brandon, why don't I start with you? What did your character study?
Ooh, Jesse, do you have anything you're big on?
No, I was hoping you would pick first.
Fine, then I will. I'll take stealth.
Stealth. So Jesse, you can pick from one of the other two bullets.
I'm just going to pick combat.
Love it. We've got a Fafhrd and Grey Mouser situation emerging. That's perfect.
I mean,
let's lean into it.
I feel like there might be cool, like the carpenter and the thief kind of pairs, but then I was like, this is my first time playing this. I'm just going to lean into the genre.
Do that, yeah. I really
if you had picked first, I might have picked magic or religion, but since I got to pick first, no.
Yeah. I like. I feel like cliche is our friend here. So that's fantastic. So you can each add in this first line, the what did you study line, you can add your answers there. And now we each pick a question. So one of these 8 questions, I'll give you all a second to look at them. They're also listed in the character keeper, so you can look at them there. And Brandon, since you picked first in the last answer, what isn't Jesse? Oh no, let's have Brandon ask the question so Jesse can answer first. So Brandon, which
I was hoping you were about. Okay. Wow. Okay. I think some of these will have obvious answers, so I'm going to want to pick one that doesn't.
There you go.
Let's see. How do you support your comrades?
How do I support my comrades? Let me look at the possible answers here. I need to wait till you.
I love all the last 3 answers.
I can heal wounds. I can inspire people around me. I can take with the devices. I can protect them from harm. I can offer. Oh, definitely. I offer unsolicited, uninformed, and usually poor advice.
Fantastic. Brandon, now you answer the question. How do you support your comrades?
I think I can inspire people.
I'm going to fill in your answers here, Brandon, if that's all right with you.
Yep.
Jesse, it is your turn to ask a question.
Yeah. I know which question I want to answer, but what do I want to know about? What do I want to know about Brandon's character? About Brandon's stealthy character? I mean, how do you assess the situation?
I pick up how people feel through empathy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think I go with what I observe through sensation.
These are interesting characters already.
What's super cool about this game already is that it's really hard to come in with a character concept.
Yes, that's why I didn't.
Is that a good thing?
It's a great thing. I like it.
Okay.
It's like you come in and your character forms in response to the questions and also in opposition to the other character, and it's very cool.
Well, It's for some reason that although it's very different, it makes me think of Run, where you expressly can't come in with the character concept since you start completely amnestic and develop your character entirely in plane.
I'm going to ask, how do you get what you want from people? Does anyone have an immediate response to that, one that they're leaning towards?
No, I have a few that I'd be excited about. So,
I think I win them over. Charm is a little too much in line with what I've already said. Doesn't add anything, so I'm not going to pick that one. I instill fear with intimidation.
okay, and in that case, I impress them with my confidence.
Nice.
Yes, confidence. That's a good word for it.
Yeah, I confidently will offer you unsolicited, ill-informed, and usually poor advice.
All right. So how are you feeling about these characters so far? Questions, concerns?
Oh, I'm very into them both. I want to know much more about both of them, but we're going to find out. That's why we play the game.
That's why we're playing.
Sure.
It's also it's starting to make me think a little bit, not so much, about another kind of like mismatched pair from a fantasy novel, but it's not like a sword and sword. Have either of you ever read Swords Point by Ellen Kushner?
I have not. First
of all, it's amazing. Everyone should read it. It's great. It's like, I don't want to spend too much time talking about it because we should play our game, but it's more of an ensemble book. There's like, it's not really like just about the pair, but there is this pair, this couple, a duelist for hire and his lover, who's like this like moody, angry, noble academic who has like left behind his world to live in the slums with this, and it's like an interesting pairing.
Nice.
And it's a little different from, and it's a little different from a lot of the sword and sorcery pairs, but it's also, I think, very in line with the kind of thing this game could do.
You said Sword Point?
Swords Point by Ellen Kushner. There's a series. She wrote a few of these books. Swords Point. What's the second one called? They're the Riverside novels, stories. It's this sort of like urban fantasy, not like Urban Shadows, but urban fantasy, like fantasy set in cities, kind of like Three Musketeers era, like in a pretend place.
Nice.
And the politics of the city and the characters, and it's fun. It's a lot. They're really good.
All right. So yeah, I'm gathering touch points. So recommendations are perfect. So
Alec and Richard in those books, I think, count as a pair.
Okay. So now each of you should ask the other one of the questions below. I think, Jesse, you picked first. So the last time, so maybe you should ask one of these questions first.
Sure. Oh, these are all such good questions with such great answers. I like them all. I want to know what complicates your what event from your past shaped who you are today.
Nice. Suave change there.
Yeah.
I lost someone important to me, and I think it was my fault.
Awesome.
Yikes. And Brandon, now you get to ask a question.
Right. Let me get those questions back.
What did I say? I think it was my fault.
What complicates your life today?
These these are all good. I am wanted for a crime I may not have committed.
I was hoping you'd pick that one.
I may have. I'm not sure. I was very drunk, and he did end up dead, and I did not like him.
People did remember you the time before saying, "I'll kill that bastard if ever I see him again."
Yep, exactly.
Sorry, I'm a consummate note taker, so I can't help myself and write notes for folks.
Oh, you're already writing. You're writing a note. That's better.
Right.
You're a better note taker than me. I'm a terrible note taker.
Can't help it. Cannot help myself.
I'm curious who you lost, but if you don't have an answer yet, we can.
Yeah. Do you have a sense, Brandon, of who your character lost?
Do you necessarily know? Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that my character knows. We can decide that either way, and you're welcome to tell me or keep it separate. Whatever you want.
No, it's a lover.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, the love of my life. Or so I thought at the time.
Is lost like they're not present anymore, or lost like they're dead, or we're not sure?
I think lost is. I think it's worse. Lost is ended up marrying someone else and has a family.
Yikes.
Yeah. And do you know whether you've told me this or not? I'm okay either. I'm happy either way.
I haven't told you.
Got it.
You may have heard a rumor.
Have I met your current spouse?
I don't have a current spouse.
Oh, sorry. They married someone else.
They married someone else.
Sorry, misunderstood.
No. Yes, he married someone else. My character is going to be,
Okay, got it.
All right. So that's sort of the basic frame of your character. There are a few other details that we need to add. They have this concept of lore, and these are sort of shared adventures. So even though we are kind of starting at the beginning of your trust level, there are things that you experienced together, a shared history or past. These are simple stories. I had a lot of fun writing these generators, but you do not need to rely on these together. The only thing is that they become sort of part of they're a currency that you can spend to buff a roll. And you sort of invoke it by saying, hey, remember that time and then sort of describe some kind of crazy adventure that you both had together as a way of kind of bolstering that particular roll or move. So you start with 2 lore, and you can get more during the game. But when you mark one of these, you bump your result to the next higher tier. But we need to figure out what those lore are. So you each get to write one of them. You can make it up. You can get inspiration from some of these tables that I wrote, or we can just talk it through. So, Jesse, let me start with you. Do you have anything in particular in mind for any lore?
No, I mean, hold on. I want to take a look at the lists. I just haven't had a chance to look at them.
Yeah, no worries.
So what's the idea? How many of these do we put together?
You're each gonna come up with one lore, or we need 2 lore in total.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Remember the time I like this. Remember the time we escaped the demon of the plains. and then one of us became the object of their affection. Is that too silly? That's maybe too silly. One of us instead got caught.
So we didn't escape them.
Well, we initially escaped. I think this is the story, right? Right. We were traveling the plains for whatever reason, and we had the encounter with this demon,
Sure.
and we outrode it. We just like flat out outrode it,
Sure.
and we get to some settlement, and we're laughing about it. We're drinking in the tavern, and then all of a sudden, like, a hole gets ripped in the wall, and this demon stalks in, and grabs one of us. Me, maybe you. What do you think?
I mean, you live to tell the tale, so
Yeah. I mean, I think you probably rescued me, or I stuck my.
I think you got grabbed.
So. Oh, maybe I got trapped in the tavern, right, in the destruction.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Rather than being carried off.
Yeah, trapped in the tavern.
And then we had to sort of like free me and fight this demon off, trick this demon away. I don't know, but yeah.
Right.
Did you put that in there, or should I put it in there?
I got it in there.
Got it. Great. Okay.
So, Brandon, any ideas for another tall tale or?
Yes, absolutely. I have to say one thing that it's not first because it's funny. I was thinking honestly that we stole from the sunken fortress of the city in the clouds. So I'm going to say the sunken fortress because that sounds cool.
That is cool.
We stole from the sunken fortress, and then both of us had a change of heart. The one that made me laugh was that one of us, me, was cursed, and that's why I have to go around with you.
That's why
the way I sometimes refer to that story.
That's why you're hanging out with this guy.
No, and then I got, I've been cursed by a wizard, I think. Must got to be a reason I go around with this galoot. But no, that's not. But the actual tall tale is that we changed our mind. We stole from the sunken fortress, and then we decided, and then we realized I'm actually going to make it. We stole from the city in the clouds, because and we had a change of heart because we realized that they needed it more than we did.
Nice.
Whatever it was that we stole.
That doesn't sound like me, but
it doesn't sound like us at all.
If you say so.
It was weird.
I mean, I think
go figure.
We told them not to tell anybody about it.
I think that's one of the hallmarks of these stories is like you're essentially what you might call chaotic neutral until you're not, right? Until sort of all of a sudden it's like, oh no, we've got to be the heroes. I've been reading Fritz Lieber's Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser, and it's sort of like, they're selfish, and then they're not selfish. So, yeah, I love it. We can explore the details of these a little bit more, but mechanically, they just simply give you an opportunity to bump a roll up. There is one more thing that we need to add to kind of flesh out your character besides a name, and that is a signature item. And I don't know that I offer much guidance on coming up with a signature item. Yes, I simply say, name a signature item that you carry with you. So a lot of these characters have weapons that they have named. I will leave it up to you what that item is. Again, mechanically, what an item does is it lets you bump the result on one of the moves. So many of these moves have to do with you two acting together, but in some instances you're acting by yourself, and that is a separate move. The item allows you.
We should look at the list of moves.
Yes, I can go through that in just a moment.
No, I got we have the list of moves here.
You want to do it now?
No, I'm just looking at them.
Oh, okay, good.
Just for ideas.
Yeah, the basic moves really covered the lion's share of what we'll be using. So this game, I intend to have a very small footprint, right? There's just not a lot of moves going on here. And everything in these four, the appraise, overcome, infiltrate, and journey, are all what I call trust moves. So they're moves that you are essentially making together, and you roll plus your trust score. You may have noticed you don't have any attribute scores other than trust. You can go it alone. That's when you take an action by yourself that doesn't involve the other person, and you're sort of, the game discourages you from doing that. And then remember the time and the right tool for the job are ways to buff the different roles. So in terms of finishing up the characters, the last thing here to do is add a signature item. And of course, an image and a name, if you like.
I'm having a hard time deciding if it's a weapon or a hat.
Why not both?
A hat that's a weapon?
A weapon hat combo.
Classic.
Sword and hat, as it were, instead of sword and shield. No.
Or sword and that sort of like sword and scarf thing.
I don't see you as a sword and scarf kind of guy.
No, I don't either. Well, I don't know. I'm kind of have this dualist.
I mean, the hat
concept.
could be a helmet, of course. You know.
No, if it's a hat, it's like a big floppy, goofy, or like a. I'm just looking. I'm part of what I'm doing is I'm looking through this Pinterest board of fantasy characters, see if there's one I like for this. Oh, this is kind of badass. This is maybe a little too much.
What?
Can my signature item be a mask?
Yeah.
Hey. Oh, that sounds more like me.
That sounds
right. That's what I feel like. I feel like this is a little too. No, I like it. I mean, we both wear masks.
I'll take it if you don't.
You take it, then you take it. I have other things. I have other things.
I think my signature item is actually going to be a half mask, but it's magic.
Yeah, I think I'm just this dude. Okay, yeah, and it's my sword. Of course, it's my sword. Oh, the other good place to go for images like this is the Swords Without Master Eidolon, one of those Pinterest boards.
Oh, nice.
I'm not, but it would be a good idea. What do they call this guy? Jareth.
Oh, I know what the mask's name is too. If the mask has a name.
And that is?
It's called No One. And it's got one major property, which is that while you're wearing it, the wearer can only be referred to as no one.
Nice.
Which, if you think about it, so it's like, who broke in? No one did.
No one did.
There, it's not possible to say anything other than that.
That's the magic is you literally cannot say anything besides no one when you
refer to the person with the mask on, right? Which means I can't, it's obviously a special purpose item, but it's heavy juju. We stole it. It's just a black mask that looks to be that's made out of some sort of like woven fiber.
Okay.
And I'll see if I can find a picture that even kind of resembles that.
hold on. Here we go. So mine's my sword. And it's called
Brett. No.
It's called, this is too modern. I'll come up with a name for it. I have ideas, but I don't want to spend a million years looking for exactly the right word. It's a it's like a long, heavy
Like a hand and a half sword.
no, it's sorry, it's not heavy. It's like an extra long rapier. I don't know, like an S-stock, I guess, kind of.
Okay.
It's got that. It's sort of like so it's like a straight pointy blade. I'm a duelist, right? That's kind of my training. That's my combat training. And it's mostly I just like to it's an S-stock is not a dueling sword. Right? It doesn't have an edge. It's for poking people in armor. But I like the idea that I've taken up this thing because I'm no longer interested in the art of combat. If I have to fight, I want to murder people.
Right.
Pointy
is good.
Well, but like meaning like I was trained in this like finesse, cut, don't kill, right? It's all for show. And out in the world, I've sort of discovered that that's not
the way the world works. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And so I can still use it sort of in that way. But for it to I can do all the impressive showy things I used to do. But if I hit someone with the edge of my sword, it's a bludgeon. It doesn't actually cut them, right?
Right.
I fight with short blades.
Nice.
A close, in a very much a kind of, close or duck and stab style. Or, parry and throw something at their face. And then gut them while they're blocking.
I can stab, parry, and throw, then gut them.
Well, yeah, well, it's a full use style. I mean, it's I learned how to. It's basically it's dirty fighting.
Sure.
It's like, okay, and I like coming up against people who are very good at, highly trained fighting styles, because I can almost always screw them.
Right. Did you
It's the people who learn how to fight in the gutter that are a lot harder. Well, because they're expecting.
Right.
Whereas, the guy who's like, the fancy, two-handed sword style or something like that. First off, I get underestimated all the time because I'm small.
Right.
But you stab somebody with a poisoned knife and they die.
And then they'll ask who stabbed you.
Well, I don't typically. Well, if I'm wearing the mask,
right?
I have a character picture, so let me put that in.
I figured out the name of my sword. I found this quote about the kinds of knives that medieval and early modern, like sort of the carvers, the guardian, the people who would present the king's bread to them. So the Panther had no fewer than 4 particular knives: the chaffer for large loads, the parer, the trencher knife for smoothing edges, and the mensal knife, reserved for removing the select upper crust for its presentation to the Lord. And my sword is called mensal, reserved for removing the select upper crust.
Nice. So Estoc is the name of the sword.
So Estoc is the type of sword,
and
the name is mensal, Mamensal.
Oh yeah, look at that thing. I love these 2 characters.
So I just put in a heavy note because it made sense.
Note.
Yes, a trained empath turned thief.
Oh, love it.
So yes, I was originally trained as, to be at the right hand of a diplomat or something like that.
Oh, I love that. That's
and great. It didn't suit me temperamentally.
Do you want to switch out what you studied then? I'm just curious. Or like, what does it mean that you studied stealth? Were you their shadow?
Is studied what you originally did? Do you think?
Not necessarily.
Or after that, you could have studied stealth also, for sure. Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, I learned. I've studied stealth. Although stealth for me, a lot of it is, misdirection.
Right.
Good. I learned how to climb and hide and things like that. But most of the stealth I know is doing things like not having people notice you.
Right.
And empath training was great for that. There's a reason they don't let empaths out. Before fucking dangerous.
Your names pair really nicely too. Like I can almost see the series of books of Jareth and Jocasta. Friends, that was great. Since this game is in development, I sort of have like questions about how this all went. Do you want to save that stuff for the end? Are you okay with my interjecting some of those questions? What do you think?
Whatever you want.
Whatever you want, yeah.
All right. So since we've got a few minutes maybe before our top of the hour break, what worked, what didn't work for you as part of the character creation process? Is there anything that you felt was especially missing that you were expecting to see but didn't?
I don't think that anything was missing. In terms of the questions, there's a fair amount of overlap. And, perhaps that's intended, but I think a little more breadth would have been even more interesting.
Overlap, you mean
there's a lot of questions that seem to that kind of are, if you picked them, they wouldn't add anything.
Okay.
In other words, there are aspects of personality that are don't diverge very much. For example, in the last 2 questions, Gina, how do you make sense of the world? How do you assess the situation? I don't know if this is correct or not, but there's 2 answers that are the same.
Right.
And that makes the choice of question less interesting. Maybe.
Perfect. That's great. That's exactly what I'm looking for.
Yeah. So, yeah, I like the questions and answering different questions, but I think they should diverge just a little more in terms of aspect. And not have many answers that sound similar to each other.
Great. Jesse, what about you? Anything?
I'm thinking about it. I really like the questions. I think I'd have to think a little bit more. Like in terms, the process felt very smooth in terms of like how things worked in play. I felt great about it. That was a really like cool, quick character creation setup. So I like that a lot. I would have to think a little bit more about the questions, the specific questions piece, I think, because I also think there's something to be said for having that kind of overlap sometimes, right? Where if because you're only going to get to answer a small number of them in any given game, it may be helpful. Like there are for players who want to make sure they hit certain things, it might be helpful to have a little bit of that overlap. Right. And I think that like you've got that, but also the variety piece that Brandon's pointing out is important too. And I think fine tuning that is going to be the trick. And I would to think about how that actually works, I would need to put a little bit more time into the questions. The one thing that one thing I really like about it, especially with the complications questions, is that it feels like this could work for a broad variety of kind of fantasy settings, like, you know, in different ways, high magic, low magic, you know, sword and sorcery, like mannered early modern cities with magic in them, like all kinds of stuff could work. But when you get to the lore questions, the lore prompts, which are all right, the lore prompts push a very particular kind of sword and sorcery genre, which especially for a playtest is great. I mean, you've got your playtest, you've got your set, like I think, but it was interesting to me because I had, based on nothing that we talked about really, like in my head started picturing a certain kind of idea of who my character was based on the world they lived in. And I got to this lore and I'm like, oh, this is a little different than what I was thinking. So something that might be helpful is maybe not even pre-character creation, right? I know you have the palette tool here in the character keeper, right? But like something, a few questions or prompts to think about, like the subgenre world you're in, not necessarily to like fill out the whole setting or whatever, but just to make sure that the players are all on the same page and know like what they're doing. And if you know, this is Fritz Lieber, this is sword and sorcery, this is what we're doing, then making that very explicit,
right?
So that
great feedback.
You know, because I think there's a little wishy-washiness about this that could, not wishy-washiness, it's breadth, it's openness to this,
right?
But that could lead to miscommunication between players about what exactly they're doing.
Yeah, actually, why don't we do the palette now if you both are amenable to that? So this palette exercise is just simply, in your mind, what's in and what's out. What is definitely part of these kinds of stories, or that you'd like to see in these stories? What are things that you definitely want to exclude from these stories? And I've been doing this on every game I play, regardless of whether it's built into the rules or not. I just find it helpful, as Jesse was saying, to kind of set the playing field, make sure we're all kind of on the same page in terms of tone, but also as the GM, it gives me a lot to draw on too in the improv. So Jesse's already added. Is that you, Jesse?
Yes, that's me.
Magic in a city.
Magic in a, you know who I am.
We are cut from the same cloth. Yes. Brandon, is there anything you would like to add to the palette?
Just did.
Nice.
Sure.
Love it.
Is that like a cultural thing, or is that just like
that just seems to be the way it works? Magicians tend to be bad people.
I'm gonna
I'll qualify it usually. Okay.
Awesome.
Yes. Power corrupts on these.
That'll be fun.
What do I definitely not want?
Strange customs.
Nice. Yeah.
I'm okay with like the occasional like animal person or something like that. But like I think like the idea that there are like kingdoms of elves and kingdoms of dwarves and kingdoms of,
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah.
All my cities are very diverse and pluralistic. So it's like,
yeah, but
we're all mixed up.
but I think, but yeah, but I agree. I think I'd like this iteration to be just humans.
Okay.
Humans of all shapes and sizes,
Right.
We're not like,
and that's another one is a huge variety of cultures close by one another. We're going to have this in a city like Lankmar.
Yeah. Right. But it's not, this is important. We're not, it's more Lankmar than like Ambergris or
I don't know Ambergris, so
what I'm trying to think of what's the other one. What's the or Baslog, right? The China medieval like wild steampunk fantasy city with like bug people. And
no. We're kind of staying in the fence.
Yeah.
So no.
Ambergris is great.
So no modern tech.
Yeah.
Or steampunk tech. Alchemy or weird, mechanical things are fine.
Right. What about
somebody makes a a wind up golem or something like that, or some metal thing that's animated by alchemical processes or something like that, then that's great.
What about
maybe somebody has a telescope?
What about beasts or monsters? Is this a land that is plagued by dragons that has occasionally seen a dragon?
I think monsters are found in the terrible spaces that sensible people don't go.
Jesse.
Yeah, I mean, I say there's a demon in our lore, right? I think in that context, right, the demon just means monster. I don't know that we want to like color that with like extra planar stuff,
right,
or whatever, but like it's a big nasty creature.
They're magical things.
Yeah.
Or what are we? There's absolutely monsters, but they're not they're found in dangerous places by definition, or summoned up by bad people.
Anything else we want to exclude?
I think of other stuff I don't want here.
Maybe this doesn't have to be listed separately, but I'm going to list it.
That's fair. All right, friends, if we think of other things, we can add them, of course, along the way. I've got 9:03 through past the hour. Let's take a 10-minute break and reconvene at 13 past the hour. I will see you then.
Right.
So these two are riding back from an adventure. Maybe didn't do so well. You all didn't do so well. Maybe didn't accomplish what you had set out to do. And it took you outside your city, took you outside the place that you have spent a lot of time together. Maybe it's where you first met. Maybe it's home to one or both of you, like where you grew up. So it feels good, I think, to come home to this city. At least it feels familiar to come home. I don't know if it feels good, but it certainly feels familiar. I've been trying to come up with a good name for this city, and Name generator is not jumping out at me, but I found this name, Ephanos, and I found this name, Aftel. Do either of those jump out at you? Or do you have another idea for the name of this city?
I like Ephanis a lot.
First one's good.
All right. So the city of Ephanis is where you make your home. Where do you, Jesse? Where do Jareth and Jocasta hang out when they're not adventuring?
I don't necessarily want to speak for Jocasta, especially if we are at -1 trust.
You're at the early part of your relationship, yes.
Right. So I imagine we sometimes hang out in the same place, but I don't know that we're necessarily like regulars in that way, in the same place. But I think, I hang out in kind of like a tumble down tavern in the slums. I maybe keep like yeah, I think that's right. I think like in terms of like luxury time, I like fight for money. Gamble on duels and fist fights that I am in some tavern in a poor part of town.
I'd like to think. I like that idea for both of us, but I'd like to tinker with it just a little bit if you think's right. This is a tavern that caters to a lot of transients, and so it's mostly everyday people, but they have, but every so often you see there's a nobleman slumming or something like that. So that they have some good stuff, hidden behind the bar for the few patrons who care. And it doesn't mean that they can't, that they don't have the occasional, staged fight for money or what have you. What do you think?
Yeah, I love it. I'm wondering if like some of it, like you're talking about, caters to transients. Like, I wonder if the city has like a large population of Ephanis has like a large population of like immigrant workers, and so there's a lot of people who like came here specifically for work. Maybe their families aren't necessarily with them. Their families are either going to follow later if they can make it. A lot of people don't and leave.
Sure. I think also this is that Ephanis is situated on a crisscross of trading routes.
Yeah.
So in other words, they don't produce much, but they're like, Samarkand. They're a lot of stuff passes through.
If you need to meet someone, this is the place to meet them.
But also, it means there's a large parasite class. Merchants and politicians and corrupt officials and things like that are, that get that skimming off of
right.
the goods that pass through.
Right. Yeah, the taxation law and the customs law is all very elaborate, so everybody can get their piece.
Yeah, it's so yeah, they're almost famously known, maybe not for making anything, but except that they have terrific geography. There's a crisscross of a pass in the mountains and one of the few decent tracks through the great southern desert, and
and at least one river, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Riverbend.
Uh,
Maybe even if it's kind of like desert thing, maybe even like a Great Salt Lake.
Perfect.
So it's the very end of a river.
I mean, while we're painting the scene of this tavern, which I'm going to call the Proud Fiddle, what is its signature drink? What is the thing that everyone who comes here, poor, rich or poor, known or unknown, what do they come to order at this tavern?
It's got to be some kind of beer, right?
Yeah, I mean, I like, they don't have anything good, right? It's not that kind of place.
They do
right?
have something good, but it'll cost you.
Yeah,
And so most people don't get it. As I
signature
said,
brew.
occasionally they get fat cats coming through, that want green leaf cordial or something like that. So they've got a
bottle that says green leaf cordial on it, and they'll charge you for it. But
Could be anything in there.
yeah,
I like that they've got a simple beer that they brew in the back. You're not really sure, depending on the day and what they get out of the river, the flavor really changes. And they just call it Stone Brew.
sure.
Because dishwater is not a good marketing name.
Like, it's the kind of place where the rich people come and they get something that sounds fancy, and like telling the story about how they were robbed is part of the experience of being there, right?
I like green leaf cordial. It's green leaf. It's typically green leaf cordial is typically served in these tiny glasses because it's because it's like 60. It's like 60 proof and kind of 60 proof and sweet and bitter at the same time. It's
there's so many people who pass through this place that you are, even though you come on the regular. I think Jareth comes on the regular. You are not recognized. Like, there's just so much going on in this place at all times of day that even though you are there with some frequency, nobody recognizes you ever. You have no renown yet in this town. It's hard enough to get any of the wait staff to pay attention to you. I assume you're sitting and maybe reflecting on the adventure that you just came back from. Besides sitting here, is there something else?
I tripped one of the waiters.
Is there something else here, or is there something else in the city, Jocasta, that you do to unwind?
Read.
Is there?
I'm actually. I am one of a tiny minority of people in the city, in that I am literate.
Okay. Does the city have a library? Does the city have a place where you can go to get some books? Is it like the one bookseller on the other side of town?
There are a couple of booksellers. I mean, books are, there's no such thing as a mass market book here. There's a couple. There are a number of libraries, but there's no public library. These are private collections that people have. But somehow Jocasta often has a book borrowed from one of them. So she must be on good terms with somebody.
Is that what she's doing now? Is she reading in the midst of this tavern?
She is reading and getting looks.
Sure.
Because who reads a book? It's a little. These are little bitty books,
Right.
written with little bitty books written, in like tiny Arabic, style print. Because parchment is precious, and so the smaller you can write and still be legible, the better it is. So yeah, she's got a candle on the table, and she's actually got the book spread open in one hand and sipping from a cordial glass in the other thing, which attracts attention from the obnoxious elements sometimes.
Gareth, what do you do to unwind?
I mean, I drink. And I'm not drinking stone brew, right? I'm drinking whatever the strongest, swilliest thing they have is here.
Okay.
Let's be realistic. You're drinking whatever your pocket lets you drink.
Yes, no, that's fair. The strongest, swilliest thing I can afford.
Sometimes stone brew.
Yeah, fair. I imagine they have something cheap and distilled also, but maybe not.
Probably not. Distilling is hard.
It's fair. And I think my sort of thing I drink, and I'm looking around to see if there's someone here who's I'm not known, but I think I know some of the crowd. So this right, I'm looking for a bookie. Someone who here makes bets, takes bets. Because I'm running. We came back from this adventure. Jacobs, did we come back from this adventure like? Actually, this whole thing. Did we come back from this adventure flush, or
no?
Did we come back with less than we had when we left?
No, this one was a bust.
Yeah, you did not do well.
Yeah. So I'm looking at like my last 2 coins and my drink, right? And I'm thinking, all right, who can I go to, who'll let me fight and bet on it, right?
So, you want to go fight someone and bet on your own fight?
Correct. Isn't the traditional way, just like, I'll wager whatever it is that I can lick any man in the bar?
It's the kind of place where the thing about it is that when there's a book, when there's someone who's in charge of it, they might even give you some odds.
True.
I think you see. You recognize a noble who's sort of come to this side of town, maybe to participate in this as well. You recognize him as Lord Somerton, and he's leaning across the table at someone who might very well be a bookie, but you don't really know for sure.
Where do I know this? Where do I know this nobleman from?
He's just known around the town.
No.
Oh, so he doesn't know me.
Jocasta says, "What is Somerton doing here?" without looking up from her book at any point.
I take a sip of my drink and sort of and say, gambling. It looks like maybe. What do you think? Somerton's a gambler, right? Renowned gambler.
He's known to
loses money by the bushels,
down, but he usually sponsors gambling contests. He doesn't come to a shithole like this.
I'm gonna go talk to him. I finish my drink, and I sort of like push myself up.
I'm going to take out a dagger and stick it point down in the table in front of me just in case.
Like loud so people hear, or just
no. Just
okay.
just quiet. I'm just quietly sticking.
Just getting ready.
Quietly, getting one out of my boot and putting it in the thing. I don't want to rely on just the ones I have in my wrist sheaths.
Yeah, you don't want to constrain yourself.
It's always good to have an extra knife. No, I just have it there, and like I was, cutting my bread with it.
I think, Jareth, as you approach the table, you sort of hear whispers of conversation between Somerton and this person, which you take to be a bookie. And the bookie person is saying, I don't know anyone like that. You don't want to bring that. You don't want to bring that here. Keep that on your side of town. And Somerton is sort of begging.
I take off my hat, which is this like beat up kind of like Three Musketeers.
Perfect.
Broad brimmed hat. It doesn't have a feather. You could see the place where maybe a feather would go.
Right.
But I take it off and I bow low and I say, well, you don't know anybody like that, but I might very well be someone like that. What kind of person are you looking for, my lord?
Somerton looks you up and down and he's like, he doesn't even speak to you. He just turns back and says to this person, look, if anyone you know, if anyone comes along, send them my way. It's urgent. He starts to stand up and push his way past you.
So I just let him push his way past me, and I slide myself into the seat that Somerton had just been sitting in. And I look this bookie directly in the eye, and I say, "Well, look at me! I have come along. What was his lordship looking for? Because I think you might have found it." I have no idea.
I just figure if I just desperate for a coin.
Yeah, I just figure someone rich wants something done. Maybe there's money in it.
That's between me and the Lord. What is it that you want? Who are you? What is it that you want?
Jareth 2, you haven't heard of me?
Jareth 2. Have you lost a bar fight or two in this place?
Oh, I've never lost a bar fight.
I remember it a little bit differently.
Sometimes I decide to take a nap in the middle of the fight if it's not that exciting. That's not a loss.
You know what? I need to name this person.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Almer. And he says to you, well, what can I do for you? Almer the bookie.
Can I try to, like, I'm looking him up and down, and I'm like sort of chatting. Well, what can you do for me? What do you do?
I mean, Sticky Fingers Almer, right? That's the same one, same guy.
What did Lord Somerton want you to do for him? Maybe you can do that for me.
Lord Somerton is an important business associate, and he was looking for, shall we say, some help to liberate a certain object from a certain very secure place.
Well, it's funny. They call me
the Liberator.
I say, my name may be Jareth 2. They usually just call me 2, but my sword here is called the Liberator.
Interesting. And do you work alone?
It depends on the job.
This job might require a little bit more than just.
I can contract an associate.
This simple brute force and firepower.
I could contract with an associate. That will be an additional finder's fee, of course, but I can do that.
Interesting. Well,
I know some trustworthy folks.
Let's maybe see what you're made of. And
am I supposed to punch him now? What's the
Almer looks across the room and kind of gives a gesture to a couple of goons who kind of make their way over to you. And if you're okay with this thing descending into a little bit of a bar fight.
Oh, of course I am. I think can I describe something here?
Yeah, of course.
I think I slam my last 2 coins on the table in front of him. I say, I don't fight for free. These two are on me at 2 to 1. I will
great.
Collect.
That's fantastic.
And then I just, before they can even get to me, I just rush them.
Pick up a table.
What?
Pick up a table.
Yeah, you got the table?
No. Pick up a table.
At the table.
Yeah, this is it's not a table. It's a chair. I pick up a chair. This is incidentally a true story about my life. When I was in 5th grade, a kid lifted a bully, like picked up a chair to threaten me, and so I threw a chair back at him.
As one should.
And then I got in a lot of trouble.
Yes.
And my friend was like afterwards, like, why did you throw a chair? You don't actually throw the chair. You're just supposed to shake it at them threateningly. I mean, he said it in 10-year-old words, but whatever. And I didn't understand it. I was like, well, if he doesn't know I'm going to throw the chair, I think I just like come at them with a chair.
I like it.
And I think just to get a sense of like the physical effect of this, I'm not like a big intimidating Fafhrd in the Grey Mouth Fafhrd kind of guy.
Right.
I'm like wiry, stronger than I look, and quick. But I'm not gonna like bowl you over with my weight, right? I'm gonna kind of deal. There's like there's some brute force and finesse both in this. And I just like swing a chair in one's face.
I am getting from your picture, the picture that you selected, height. So maybe
I'm definitely tall. Definitely tall.
Right.
Yeah, he's a duelist. You want to be tall because reach.
Yeah.
So this is activating. I guess let me ask, Jocasta, do you see yourself getting involved in this fight?
Absolutely, at the very last moment.
So
I mean, after they've traded a few shots.
Perfect. So
and they're both on top of him, dragging him down. One's holding him, and the other one's punching him. I'm watching with a slightly amused expression on my face.
We'll use a move. We'll activate the move Overcome. This is when you together face imminent threat or immediate danger. Describe your approach and the desired outcome, and roll plus trust. Your trust level is -1. If you're looking at the basic moves in the character keeper, you can see I've got some questions and consequences. So basically, outcomes are largely determined by what your trust level is at. So the consequences, as your trust level increases, become less impactful, less painful.
Can I frame the desired outcome?
Yeah, go for it.
What I would like to do is beat these people badly, very badly. I don't think I look quite as cool as this, but in terms of the damage done, it's like that first hallway scene in Daredevil, the TV Daredevil scene, right? Yeah. Where again, I'm not that much of a badass. I don't think, certainly not at this stage in the story. But but that kind of like just brutal defeat of these folks, in order to impress this Ulmer. Right?
You recognize that it is an audition, so
exactly
you are inhabiting a role.
And I think, tell me what you think about this, Jocasta. Like, you presumably know that too, so you're gonna wait till the moment when I know you're pulling my ass out of the fire.
Yes, that's right.
But
I'm going to wait until the moment where you're
right. But you also don't want me to look like too bad first either, right? Like, it's one of those things where
but I feel like the explanation can perfectly be that your job is to draw fire.
Right. I know, right? I know you saved my ass. You show that you're also an impressive and important part of this team. But if it goes well, right, we both come out looking good. If it goes badly,
well, maybe we come out looking good, not necessarily smart.
Fair.
I love this. So the way, so let me ask you one other question, and maybe you've sort of answered this. So each trust level comes with a few questions just to kind of provoke some other thoughts on how you work together. And because trust levels at -1, you haven't done a lot of interacting together. There's still some working at cross purposes or stepping on each other's toes. So I'm going to ask, how do you step on each other's toes? Jocasta, is there something you do that maybe accidentally gets in the way of Jareth's work?
No, I think it's it's a reasonable answer if it's all right with you, to be just what I described, which is that I'm perfectly happy for Jareth to get kind of beat up before I intervene.
Okay.
So,
So maybe you wait just a little too long for that
yes.
to happen.
Yeah.
And
so I
maybe,
want the other people to be super confident, in their victory chances before I show them up. But because then they'll be more or less completely unaware.
And Jareth, how are you not quite aligned with Jocasta?
If like, I mean, I guess here's a question about. I want to take a step back for a second, if it's okay, because right, it seems to me that like we're already at cross purposes, like just getting started, right?
Yes.
Like, right. I am not like I'm going in expecting to do this by myself, I think, right? Like I don't think that. I think I can easily, maybe not easily, but I think I can defeat these two people on my own. I'm not expecting to get a little bit beat up.
Okay.
Right.
So you're not expecting really to be saved at all, or supported.
Right. I mean, I think I'm expecting if there's a turn, I'm hopeful that Jocasta will get my back. Right. But like, I'm pretty confident of my ability here.
Yeah, okay. No, the camera shows as he's squaring us off and grabs up a chair. What Jocasta does is turns the page.
Right. Yes, the camera's pulling back, and she's
and she she just she's holding the book up with one hand and she turns the page, and she's kind of looking over the top of the book, but clearly that's not what's got her.
So the way I've been doing these, because you're basically both making the move together, is and different tables have done it a little bit differently, but where we've landed on is each of you rolls a d6, right? It's powered by the apocalypse, so we need to roll 2d6.
There can be blame.
But each of you rolls a d6, and then we add your trust score, which in this case is -1. I've just posted the link to the roller.
Yep, I got it.
Can we talk about specific stakes? Because I'm just going to be like really upfront with this, like. The way, Brandon, the way you're framing this, even on the highest stakes, I look kind of like Jareth looks kind of like a buffoon, even on the highest success.
Oh, a very fast, durable buffoon.
Right, but I don't. Jesse doesn't really want that.
Okay, that's fine.
I'm like perfectly okay with that on like a 7 to 9, right, or even a 10. Which is, I guess, the two possibilities here. Because with the -1, we're not rolling a 12 plus.
No,
but right. But I just sort of like want to say, like, if everything goes
no, a 10 could be a 10's a very slick win. That's right. That's the way it works.
Right. So I want to think about like
I'm thinking more in the 7 to 9 range if we manage to get that.
So like meaning if we succeed, you definitely like pull me out of the fire and look good doing it. I think it's just sort of where. Ulmer maybe doesn't realize how close I was to get,
Yeah, you'll see. I think it'll be fun.
Okay, I just wanted to.
We'll just back it up.
I think you don't. Neither of you look amazing, but neither of you look terrible in this outcome, right? And either way, as to move the fiction forward, you're going to impress the Lord, right? So like, it's not like the Lord's going to be like, well, that was a waste of time.
Let's roll.
Let's roll.
Right.
Hold on, let me grab a die.
All right. I got a 4.
I got
do down likewise.
I got a 3.
You blew it
So that's a 7 minus 1 is 6. So you have an option. You can mark a lore to bump up one result. So you can go from a 6 minus to a 7 to 9, or we can just live with the 6 minus.
So that's all the lore we get for the whole, or at the end of an adventure, does that generate lore?
Yeah, there's a downtime move that lets you recover your lore and add a new one potentially.
Great. So I would like to spend that lore this is the same thing. This is you pulling me out of the fire, right? I got right from that beast. I got right. Yeah. I got trapped. You had to save me.
Yeah, it's just like you're distracting them just like you distracted the demon.
Yeah, exactly.
So I kind of want to, if it's okay with you all, play out this scene where like the fighting is happening, right? And then one of you shouts out like, "Hey, remember that time?" Because that's really sort of what is going on. So I'm wondering, Jesse, how do you imagine these two goons maybe overwhelming you a little bit?
Right. So I'm totally cool looking ridiculous here on that under these circumstances, right? I swing the chair at across their faces, expecting to like get both of them. One of them ducks. I think it's a little bit comedic. The second one gets hit,
nice.
And knocked back. But the first one ducks, comes at me and just like gets me below my center of gravity, knocks me on the ground and starts pounding me. And the second one gets up, shakes his head, and picks up the chair that I had just hit him with. Right. And I think I shout, "Jocasta, it's that fucking demon of the plains again." It's like the demon of the plains again.
Nice. And Jocasta, how do you step in here?
I'll trip the guy in back as he's getting up, kick him in the head while he's while he's on the ground, just to slow him down a little bit.
So
as I step away from the table, I pick up my knife. I trip the guy in the back, kind of kick him in the head gently as I'm walking by him, in order to keep him from reacting too quickly.
Okay.
And then I tap the other guy on the shoulder and put my knife gently at the back of his neck and said, "Would you? I'd like you to reconsider I think reconsidering your actions would have a salutary effect on your health."
For better or for worse, he is able to sort of extricate himself from you. Since you all did roll a 6 minus, this just really doesn't go well.
Well, we did bump into a 7 though.
Oh, you bumped into a 7. Yeah, forgive me. Yes, that was right. Look at the 7 and 9.
Yeah, may I pick a consequence?
Yeah, give me a sec. Yeah, pick an effect. So everything goes pretty much as planned, but pick consequences. Either way, lose momentum. So you haven't gained any momentum yet. So I think I'm going to say the threat is eliminated, but take something of value with it as the.
Well, isn't it? Don't we get to either pick an effect or everything goes as planned, but pick a consequence?
Oh yeah, sure. Would you rather pick consequences?
Yeah, I think it would be cool if someone's alerted to our presence.
I think so.
Yeah, that whomever it is,
I think
that we're going to be liberating this thing from,
or just a previous someone that we had an unpleasant end of a transaction with, somebody who felt cheated by what they paid us to get and what we delivered.
So the way this works, because your trust level is at -1, each of you has to pick a consequence. So Jesse's picked, someone's alerted to our presence.
Okay.
Brandon, do you want to pick another one?
Let me see something.
And if you'd rather go back to make it an effect instead, because I didn't realize we both had to pick, then we can zoom back if you want, Brandon. I didn't realize that.
It says I don't know what how the effects would mean in a situation like this, where we're just trying to impress someone. because I could totally see, the threat escapes but is not eliminated. We're not doing these people any harm. We're just trying to have them lose. But if it's let's see, consequences. Yeah, someone is alerted to our presence, sure. And no, can I mark
my thought, Brandon, if I can make a suggestion, I
Sure.
wonder if another threat emerges, insofar as basically this triggers a bar fight throughout. So now everybody is involved.
Absolutely.
Part of your remember the demon is you all just sort of quietly escape while this chaos is ensuing. You've caused the damage, you've caused the harm you needed to cause, you've made the threats you needed to make, and now throughout all of this chaos, maybe this is a good time to make your exit. Does that sound okay? Do you want to embellish that at all?
Yeah, I think it's fine. I think yeah, maybe the guy I tripped, bumped into somebody and knocked his drink, getting up, bumped into somebody and knocked his drink in his lap, and that guy took offense and threw a mug at him, and he ducked the mug, and the mug cracked somebody else on the head, and then things happened.
As you make your way out of the Proud Fiddle, Lord Somerton is standing there, and he looks you both up and down and says, was this chaos, what were you the perpetrators of this chaos?
Pretty much.
I think we resolved the chaos fairly well. It's over now.
Well, I take it back. Maybe you are just the kind of people I am looking for.
I said it then. You should have believed me, but happy to be at your service.
I do not like being corrected. If you would like to work for me, that is something you will have to come to learn and understand.
You are quite correct.
Thank you. It is not safe to talk here. Meet me at the Old Keep at midnight tonight. And he mounts his horse and he starts to pick his way through the slums.
Nice horse, I say to Jareth as he's riding away.
It's the kind of horse that rich people ride in a city.
Are you, I kind of want to hear you two sort of reflect on the scene that just happened.
Yeah, I think I'm mad. I think I say it took you long enough to get to me.
There were a lot of tables in the way. I didn't want to disrupt anyone's dining experience.
Didn't want to disrupt your book.
Maybe I just figured you'd take care of them by yourself and I could relax.
That's what I figured too. Didn't work out that way, did it?
No.
So this is a downtime move called share. Actually, technically this is between waypoints, but yeah, let's say we're between waypoints now. So technically this is a move called share. This is when you spend a quiet moment together. This is under the downtime moves. Describe or show the conversation and roll. You would roll plus trust. On a hit, you may increase trust. On a 10 plus, you may each clear one condition. So this gives you an opportunity to maybe bump up your trust in between waypoints.
Honestly, Jared, if I had gotten into the fight sooner, it would have just been showing a complete lack in your confidence of taking care of the situation, wouldn't it?
Let's roll to see how I respond to that.
So once again, we do the thing where each of you rolls a d6 and we will add
Sure.
your trust score.
I love that, by the way, just as like an That's like I'm gonna also roll on the die roller. I think that's awesome.
I got a 2 this time.
I got a 3.
Our roll sucked.
-1 is a 4.
So I'm going to, and there's no way to buff these rolls. So I'm
Nope.
going to say that each of you takes a condition.
Sure.
How about broke? Broke seems like a good condition to have.
I mean, I feel like Jareth could totally take broke because he put his last 2 coins on the table.
So I think I think fictionally I'm definitely broke. Where's the list of condition? A wounded, tired, hungry, anxious, broke. But I think this conversation and the way it just went actually made me kind of anxious. And the reason is that I think my response is because you said that we've shown lack of confidence. I said I think what it showed is that you like to watch someone wail on my face for a couple minutes.
Would I do that?
You did. All right, let's.
Well, he had a certain style, I mean, some of these thugs are, are dull fellows, but
I'm glad to have been able to dance for your entertainment, Jocasta. And I do a little I do this little silly dance like it's right the
sarcastic dance.
What?
It's a sarcastic dance.
It's a sarcastic
I applaud.
dance.
I applaud anyway.
It's angry but deft. I am a duelist, right? But you
and I applaud, and I said clearly you missed your true calling.
And I think I'm acting mad, but the mad is hanging like, can I trust this person? Am I good enough on my own? Right? Like, she did help me, so that's good. That's sort of, I think, that the anxiety there.
And when you're thinking, she responds no, even though you didn't say anything.
I ignore that. Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to do before we go fast forward to midnight at the keep?
No,
I don't think so. No.
Jocasta has a mannerism that she does when she's waiting for something, which is to flip a little knife.
Okay.
She just holds it by the tip, flips it, catches it, flips it, catches it.
Is she really good at it, or does she sometimes drop it?
She's good at it.
Okay.
She's it's like, if you can't do that, don't bother throwing a knife because it'll never hit it.
Right, sure.
No, she's deft. She has to be deft. She has no. She's about 110 pounds.
It's 10 minutes past midnight, 11 minutes past midnight now, and Somerton still hasn't shown up. Jareth, what do you say?
Goddamn nobles.
This is not our week or month, actually, come to think of it.
Gonna go remind me tomorrow morning. I want to go collect from that bookie.
And someone does finally approach. It does not appear to be Somerton, but it is someone in the robes of a sorcerer. And we know that based on our palette, all sorcerers are evil. Well, maybe not they're all evil, but they dabble in evil things.
They dabble in evil things, and they're but they have money. So
I've occasionally dabbled in evil things. Who hasn't?
Who hasn't?
Define evil. I have a philosophical
Murder.
treatise that murder is not necessarily evil. Secret murder is probably evil, but murder is sometimes justified.
And we will make this person.
Epictetus said so.
She approaches you and she says, I am Lord Somerton's advisor, and he mentioned that he has hired 2 adventurers to help with a small problem that we have. It seems, I assume you two are those adventurers. And
yes, although we are wonderfully ignorant of the problem.
the Shadow Hands have acquired a certain artifact. And Lord Somerton would prefer that they do not have this artifact. We are asking you to recover this artifact, by whatever means necessary, from the Shadow Hands. I am what's her honorific? We'll just call her Sorceress Samari.
How about Lord Mistress?
Yeah, I was going to say Lady Samari. That seems dumb.
Sounds pretty cool.
Just dumb. Just dumb. Just Samari. That's what it is. She says, I am Samari, and I am Somerton's advisor. Is there anything in particular you need to accomplish this?
Yes. Where is it, and what kind of nest of hornets are we talking about?
Well, these are the Shadow Hands. This is, I'd imagine this as sort of the local thieves guild, maybe thieves and assassins guild, something like that. And if we knew where it was, we wouldn't necessarily need to employ others to help us find it.
But do you have some vague idea of where we might start looking in the city? Because otherwise, you have a needle in a haystack. Also, can you describe it?
It is an amulet about this big with a stone in the middle, slightly offset, that is darker than any night you have ever seen. Any evening you have seen.
Fair enough. Can it be handled without issues, or does it need special treatment?
She looks you up and down. She's like, you will have no problem handling it.
And you know nothing about where the Shadow Hands have secreted it.
You do not know where they are keeping it. As you know, the Shadow Hands have permeated every aspect of the city. So in some ways, it shouldn't be too hard to find one to talk to about it. But my understanding...
Oh, I like that idea.
My understanding is that they've been especially active in South Waterside. Let's say that's the name of one of the neighborhoods. That's okay with you.
That's great.
Recently.
All right. And last but not least, what's Lord Somerton willing to pay for it?
Oh, you will be amply rewarded for your efforts. Does
I like it.
Does 1,000 coin seem reasonable to you?
I frown and I say, 1,000 coin sounds lovely. How do we know we'll get it?
She says, Lord Somerton anticipated your request. Apparently, whether or not you have a reputation, you certainly demonstrated lack of couth. And she hands you a sack, let's say 100 coins.
Yeah. Well, 100 coins now is better than 1,000 coins never.
Well, if we get the amulet, we'll have a bargaining chip.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the 100 coins is going to remain private money.
Yeah. and just out of character, I don't particularly like role playing negotiating, but I just wanted to
Sure.
poke a little bit there.
Yeah, that's fine. That's good. That was very in character of Jared.
1,000 coins seems ample. This amulet must be pretty hot stuff.
Let us just say that it is dangerous in the wrong hands, and that Lord Somerton is as much protecting the city, some might even say the entire continent, as he is seeking something of value.
I'm certainly quite happy to put it in whosever hands will put 1,000 gold in mine. And I think I start to turn around and leave, heading for South Waterside. I don't know, Jocasta, how would you want to?
I'm good.
And she also turns on her heel, happy to not have to make any more small talk with you all. The way I've decided to structure the game is kind of a series of waypoints, where each waypoint might get you something that allows you to get the final thing, right? So stealing a little bit of concept from, say, Brindlewood Bay, trying to add a little bit of structure. So we're doing kind of start of quest here. What type of quest this is a theft. The objective of this quest is to steal this amulet. Out of character, I named this amulet the Amulet of Ethereal Darkness. And I don't know if Somerton has good intention or bad intention by acquiring this thing. Another part of starting a quest is for each of you to ask the other, why does this quest matter to you, and what do you fear most? So I'm sort of picturing you all maybe making your way through the city and having this conversation. Who would like to go first?
I think I'm whistling and I'm walking. And I think I say, so Jocasta, what will you do with your share? And what I'm asking is, why does this quest matter to you? Right? That's how Jareth thinks about it. Yeah.
Yep.
I have my eye on a volume of 300-year-old poetry.
Is the volume 300 years old, or the poetry?
Poetry is 300 years old. Yeah, it's the poet Soren. Hard to acquire. Lovely stuff.
Sounds like a good time.
Well, it dwells much on the subject of romantic love and how untrustworthy men are. Evidently, Soren had a bitter and unsuccessful love life for the most part, but he wrote a lot of good poems about it.
Never met someone who had a successful one. Just a lot of people who haven't. It's a few people who haven't failed yet.
Well, that's what life's all about, right? Is that you if you don't fail enough and then die, you win.
No, life's about living as long as you can and then ultimately not dying.
Ultimately not dying? How many people have pulled that one off?
No one I've met, but I could be the first. You just every time someone comes to kill you, you kill them first.
I don't know. Boom. The only undying things that I can recall meeting were not things I'd want to be.
Jocasta, you should ask Jareth, why does this quest matter to him?
I think I found out why the quest matters to him. So I'm going to ask him, what do you fear most?
Yeah, what do I fear most? I mean, I think so. Yeah, so I think the question of what do I fear most? How do you ask it? How does that come up? So we're talking about death, right? And how I don't want to die.
I said, why I say you're whistling. You're nervous about something.
Well, you know.
Can't fool an empath. She says, tapping her facial tattoo, which is which is a mark of a trained empath in the culture she comes from.
Yeah, I'm. You know what I'm afraid. You know what I'm afraid of, Jocasta?
No.
I'm afraid next time you're going to enjoy watching someone kick the shit out of me so much, their knife is in my back before you get there.
That's really
Did I
good.
do that?
I don't think you do it on purpose.
Maybe I just like to be needed.
Is that what you're afraid of?
No.
That you don't matter? That I don't need you?
No. I don't like working for sorcerers, lords, mistresses, whatever they call themselves.
We're just working for her boss.
Yeah, no, we're not. She put him up to this. It bleeds out of her like water out of a rusty bucket.
Oh, we can always get paid, then kill her.
Wouldn't be the first time you guys did that, right?
Yeah, no. But beggars, choosers.
True enough.
So I think you've arrived now at South Waterside. You left the meeting kind of around 12:30 in the evening. It is now, say, 1:00 in the morning ish. Are you going to rest a bit? Are you going to chill out a bit? Or are you going to just keep moving forward?
I think moving forward, yeah.
Yeah, let's
I mean, it's the shadow hands. They're not going to hang out during the day. So talk to me a little bit about you're trying to find a lead. Like where might the shadow hands kind of keep this amulet? My intent, and you should course correct me, is for you all to employ the appraise move here, which is when you are together surveying a scene or talking to someone. So I'm curious if that's okay. And then sort of what does that look like? How do you kind of go about? And maybe we should paint the scene as to what South Waterside is, kind of neighborhood it is, so we can talk about what it looks like to go through it. I was picturing it as largely residential, maybe one of those residential areas that is named Waterside, but is actually not near the water, to try and make it seem more appealing, and maybe kind of working class neighborhood. So not quite as down and out as where the Proud Fiddle is, but a little bit more upmarket than that. Even though it's largely residential, it's got a fair number of kind of commercial areas, kind of local merchants and things like that. That's what I was picturing. Any other embellishments, Jesse, you want to add to South Waterside?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like they call it South Waterside, even though there's no water, and there didn't used to be water, right? You're saying it's because it was like it's like a realtor's like we're going to call it this, so that way,
right?
So I think it worked a little bit, right? And this is like an up and coming kind of like bustling trade area. That's what, and the shadow hands are kind of like muscling in a little bit to try and take a piece of that.
Love it.
I wonder if it was by the waterside. And the river shifted course or
I wonder if there's maybe it was I like the idea of it used to be here, and maybe 100 years or so ago, the water just dried up. Just someone made use of magic, and part of the evil of magic is that something else has to give. And whatever water was here is now gone.
Sure.
So talk to me about what this this sort of investigation looks like? How are you kind of nosing around? How are you trying to gather information about the shadow hands besides literally going up to people and asking them?
I mean, that's how Jareth would handle it. I mean, probably lying a little bit too, right? But I actually kind of want to hear if Jocasta wants to take the lead. How?
Yeah, I have an idea. I mean, Jocasta's way of finding information is to look at people's reactions, right? She's got that empathic tilt. So if you kind of offhandedly mention this amulet, somebody's going to react at some point. Most people are not going to have any idea of what this is. You don't even have to mention it to them. You just talk about it in a voice that can be overheard. It's like, oh yeah, we heard, so and so, they stole this amulet called, thing. Somebody's going to show that they know what that means. And that's the person we're going to follow.
I love that. So the appraisal here is watching people react to a provocative conversation.
That's right. We're gonna have this chat about this. You heard this thing got stolen, because if I know the shadow hands, anybody talking about this, if somebody knows about it, they're gonna want to go back to their boss and say, hey, people are talking about it, or somebody that we heard some guys talking about it. So
Jareth, how do you maybe work at cross purposes, or maybe try and even show off for Jocasta? What do you think?
Yeah,
Jareth is doing here to kind of not quite.
I think that at first I don't quite get what she's like going for here, and so I'm like she starts talking about the amulet, right? And I'm like, keep it down, Jocasta. Like we should maybe be asking about the then really loud shadow hands, but don't talk. And then like it's not like working against her so much as just like not understanding her play.
Right. And the rhythm is a little bit
off. The rhythm's off, right? It makes it feel a little fake if anyone's paying too much attention, or real in the wrong way.
That's perfect. So let's do this thing where we each roll a die.
I love this. Every time, I'm going to say that every time. I love it.
Oh my gosh, gentlemen.
We're just bad at dice.
We can't roll.
I was double checking because I was wondering, did I roll a D2 again? Is that what happened? But no, it was a D6.
Yeah, that.
Yeah, I have a feeling we're going to find out a whole lot really quick.
Yeah, actually, if it's okay with you, maybe we'll use this to kind of end on a little bit of a cliffhanger.
Sure.
And then do some stars and wishes. Is that all right?
Yeah, we're going to get surrounded by shadow hands who
oh my God,
desire to know why we are asking about this. Or something.
So I think I want to give you each a condition, since it's really exciting for me to do that. So
we're gonna have to clear conditions soon then.
Well, what's the mechanism? What's the narrative?
That's good.
I mean, if you want, you said a cliffhanger, so if you want to hold it till
no. I want to think of something. I'm just trying to think of getting surrounded by shadow hands is a little too on the nose. So I'm trying to think of what is not just simply getting surrounded.
Well, it might be it might be somebody, spotting us, and, someone says, tell name of boss, that we have a serious problem.
Oh, I see. So
it is foretelling
right.
the attack that's coming, but it hasn't come yet.
Right. And meanwhile, right? Like no one's showing up near us, right? And we're just like having the same conversation over and over again on different street corners, getting tired and hungry or whatever.
Yeah. I love that. And I think the way the shadow hands work is you're not surrounded by shadow hands, but the parting shot here is sort of the camera pans up, and there's a cloaked figure on a roof kind of above you there.
So should we take another condition?
And actually, I pictured you sort of in a market square where even though it's early in the morning or late at night, it was still fairly bustling, and people start to clear out. So now it's like that's sort of what makes it ominous for you. So yes, if you can mark a condition.
I'll go with anxious.
Yeah.
My hackles are all going off.
Yeah, I'm tired.
People know, like after 3 people suddenly decide that they don't want to talk to us, it's like, okay, something's really wrong.
Right. What did we do? Right.
Okay. Yeah, we clearly dropped the wrong. We're breaking a local taboo here without realizing it. And did you notice how unsociable people are here suddenly?
I'm cranky. I did not notice at all. I look around and I say, maybe they're just being sensible and going to sleep for a little bit.
No, loosen your sword.
Friends, that was super fun for me. Thank you so much. I'm really, really grateful. I had a lot of fun. And I would really like to hear your stars and wishes. Brandon, can I put you on the spot first?
Sure. No, the bar fight was very apropos as both as a way to get business and as a side effect of getting business. And I liked that. And I liked the kind of prickly relationship that it sets up, at least for the time being. Where these where we associate with one another out of necessity, but neither one of us is very sure of the other's
right
intent or competence or both. So I like that. As far as wishes, I think the way the fiction's going, it's great. I think I just want to see where it goes. I don't know if we're going to get captured or if we're going to get confronted by some badass shadow hand or something, but it's all good.
Cool. Thank you much. Jesse, you're up.
Yeah. Stars, I mean, I super love Jocasta. I really like again that brawl, the characterization of like how she reacted and like played in it was great. I'm really, this is like tacking on to a wish, although it's not really a wish. It's just is like I'm really excited to see how this relationship like progresses and the way these kind of like prickly, hard to reach people kind of warm to each other in different ways. Like what their way of showing their growing fondness for each other will be.
Right.
You know, I'm excited to see how we play that out. And then a big star to you, Dan. I mean, for running the game and the cool stuff you brought, but like, I really think this character creation is cool. Like I like I like character creation as a solo game. Sometimes it's fun. You come up with you come up with your concept, you play with your moves and stuff, and then you like come in with your bond questions or whatever to connect the characters. But I think it's super cool, and it has to be for the kind of game this is. But like that process where like I really came in with a blank, right? And I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to make a character that is like react. I'll come up with ideas, and Brandon will come up with ideas, and we'll be reacting to each other. And like you did the way you structured this made that work, I think, really well.
Right.
You know, I found that process fun, and it felt like genuinely collaborative. But I also feel like strong ownership of my character. So like I think that's like I've never played a game that has something quite like this, and I very much like it.
That's great.
Very cool.
That makes me very happy.
Very, very cool. So those are my stars and wishes. Yeah, I mean, I wanna do see badass shadow hands and pull each other out of the fire. And something I think that would be, I don't know, like this is like a little bit of an ask, Dan, on you. But like, I would like to maybe see like Albrecht or Albrecht's children show up in some way. You know, some of these backstory questions, right? I'm happy to film, right? Have someone related to the person I maybe killed, show up and complicate the, I think that's like, as people who don't seem likely to open up to each other, I feel like that's like a good tool to show some of that history and then push us to open up.
Yeah, that's great.
That would be fun.
Yeah, that's really great. I'll definitely pull that in. I'm glad character creation worked for you. What I'm really happy about, and it's just a testament to having fantastic players, is how evocative these characters are already. Like it never ceases to amaze me how we just answer 2 or 3 questions and now we have this sort of amazing, fantastic, interesting pair. And I just want to hear all of their stories. I love the prickliness between you two. Like I've played this system a bunch of times, but in the other flavors of it, there's not that kind of tension at the beginning. And this is really gratifying to see this kind of tension and knowing that we're going to turn it into something that may be warmer, but certainly more collaborative or supportive of each other.
Although you listed, I remember that you listed under tropes, every conflict is an opportunity to relitigate age-old arguments.
Yes.
And one partner, or maybe both, have a pet peeve or quirk that gets under the skin of the other. I thought those are super important.
Brandon, that is taken. If you haven't read Michael Chabon's Gentlemen of the Road, I highly recommend it. And that is taken directly from that book, where the 2 main characters are constant. I can't remember exactly what it is that they're arguing about, but they're always arguing about something. And yet their utter devotion and love for each other is so apparent. So
right, that book is like late in their relationship also. So like
they've been together for a while. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
I must say it's very strange to be playing a system where all the early rolls have a -1.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like, phew.
This is rough.
You give us those tools to easily bump them up.
Every PP, Jason Morningstar has nothing on this. At least you're rolling with a 0 most of the time in some of his harsher games.
I did not give you a chance to use your lore in that last roll, which you totally could have done to bump up that roll. I mean, I think we've landed in an interesting spot, and it's fine. But that is something to keep in mind, that we can. Yeah. We can always use more.
I thought about it and didn't want to. I wanted to see the failure.
All right, friends. That was super fun. Thank you much. And I will see you all next week. Sound good?
Yes. See you next week.
Right. Bye, friends.
See you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.